If I were to tell you a story about a little girl named Liberty, set in 1776 in Philadelphia, you'd probably have some idea what that story was going to be about. Or if I told you a story about a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri in 2014, you'd have a head start on where that story was headed. Well, today we are celebrating Palm Sunday, and there are layers and layers of these kind of built-in embedded meanings that we as a 21st century audience have to dig down to uncover. Palm Sunday is actually dangerously distracting because not only do you have the pageantry of the palms and being processed in, but you have these adorable little kids and a cute little donkey. But don't be deceived. This story is infused with danger and potential violence. So Jesus rides into town in what appears to us to be a fairly non-assuming or unthreatening way. But keep this in mind. Whatever was going on there, he doesn't make it out of this week alive. The authorities are so threatened by this event that they terminate him by the week's end. So what's exactly going on in this story that's so threatening or so dangerous? So I actually want to pull on three threads this morning in this tapestry, the way that it's told to us. I want to pull on some threads and see if it... So the first thing we need to look at is what was going on the other side of town. There were two pageants going on. And it's not tough to imagine that on the other side of town is an actual Roman military parade as the Roman appointed ruler is riding into town on an actual stallion, a big war horse, clad in armor, surrounded by centurions with actual swords, not palm branches, and a military band complete with trumpets to announce the arrival. So Jesus is no military leader. What we call the triumphal entry was more of a charade or a satire, almost like a lampoon at some point, like a budget pantomime or something. So let's keep digging. So what was going on with those palm branches anyway? Well, it turns out that there's deep meaning embedded in them because it goes back a couple hundred years to when the Jewish people were sovereign, before they were occupied, before they were under a military oppression. They had their own currency. And on one of these coins were palm branches, like how we would have the president's faces, were these palm branches. So waving the palm branches were sort of a callback, a freedom song to a time where they ruled themselves, where they were free. It was a call to liberation. It was a longing to be delivered. So it's into this powder keg that Jesus rides into town. Now keep in mind, he's named Yeshua for an ancestor named Joshua, whose name means salvation, to save his people. And so these little children are waving their branches and they're laying them down and they're singing, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, an anointed one to deliver us. So we've talked about the economic layer, we've talked about the military layer, we've talked about the political layer. What's the religious layer? It's important to catch what Jesus is inviting us into, because it's not just a military coup where one king unseats another king to sit on that king's throne. What Jesus is initiating is a counter kingdom or an anti-kingdom or an unkingdom. He's actually inviting us into a different way of being in the world. Some have called it the kingdom because we are all God's children, and it's how we relate to one another that ushers in this age of prosperity and human flourishing. This is a different economy, an economy of God. It is a gift and a grace economy. So whether the rulers knew that day that Jesus wasn't trying to sit on Caesar's throne or take away their armies or their palaces or their castles, he was actually dreaming of a world that worked a different way and inviting the people, the masses, the marginalized and the disenfranchised up into a much bigger story. So this is the subplot to our yearly drama. Every year on this Sunday, we rehearse for one another the pageantry of the palms, and we process them in, and we have the children come in, and we sing, Hosanna, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And that's all fun. Just don't be under the impression that it's tame or cute or non-threatening, because embedded in this narrative is an invitation for you and I to imagine the world being a different way. And if ever we needed that opportunity, it's right now. In this global moment of pause and physical isolation, let's call it social distancing, we need to hear the invitation to dream of being a different way in the world. Because this pause will come to an end. And we, as a community, have an opportunity to have a conversation that says, when we press play again, what song do we want to sing? Can we imagine the world a different way? Is there a way we want to be in the world after this that we didn't see as a possibility before this? And Palm Sunday and all of its pageantry and its well-rehearsed play, the plot and the subplot could not come at a better time.